crazy as building your ark after the flood has already come. Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies. This is episode 203, and I'm your host, the mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. For the movie discussion tonight, before we get into it, let's go around and meet the fellow bros. We start with our enforcer in the paint, Matt Geiger. Geiger, it is March Madness, so you don't have to legally, of course, but would you care to tell the story for our listeners about that one time you were at a UNLV basketball game and a guy in a Christian Laettner jersey cut you in the beer line?
I mean, legally, Cyclists told me to never talk about this story because they never really did sign an NDA, so they could always come back at me. But yeah, man, I mean, he chested me up, and everyone knows you don't chest up Geiger because I'm like really fat, so that means I can fight. And I was gonna throw my beer on him, but they're like $10. So instead, I just took out my wallet and bitch slapped him as hard as I could because, you know, the leather adds a little more weight. And then lawyers got involved, cops got involved. It got kind of messy. Anyway, I'm not allowed back in the state of North Carolina until 2028. Long story short.
But hey, I mean, that was a 20-year sentence, so we're making good progress.
Yeah, I mean, once we go back, I'll definitely go back. Great. If you're from North Carolina, absolutely great state.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Next, we go to the mad scientist, Brian Banner. Banner, is it true that you once put together a bracket of 64 different beers, drank them all, vomited on yourself, and then told everyone you, quote, busted their bracket?
I cannot confirm nor deny any of those events happened.
But see, like, if you didn't do it, why wouldn't you just deny it, you know?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
Okay, so, all right.
Cycling, is that right? What I'm supposed to say?
Is he in a cage in your garage?
No. He's in where the hot water heater is. What do you think? I'm a savage?
Oh, thank God. I was a little bit worried. All right, well, here on the Bro 4 Squad podcast, we start every episode off with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is chess day. And as you're listening to this episode, it is probably the weekend of the Final Four in NCAA basketball's March Madness. And as a tradition, here on the Bro 4 Squad podcast, every March we put together a movie madness tournament of some bracket with some competition theme in the world of movies or TV. This year, if you listen to our last episode, we did the selection show for this. It is the Disney Channel original movie Madness Tournament. And in the description of this video, I have linked the bracket for said tournament, where today we are going to go through the matchups. So we have 8 total movies of Disney Channel original movie variety. These are movies that aired, Banner, what do we say, exclusively on the Disney Channel? None of these have ever been in theaters, right? Or is that just where their original air date was that we know
of? I believe these are all just originally aired on the Disney Channel, because I'm sure High School Musical made it to the big screen at some point, but it was originally on your small screen.
Okay. It was a made-for-TV movie only on the Disney Channel.
Yes.
Yeah, which
does not exist anymore. So these are antiques.
I mean, when we were kids, this shit was fucking popping. When that, I don't know if you guys remember, I think we talked about this last episode, but the animation when they would go to commercial of the kid like jumping on his trampoline and doing like the kick splits in the air, when that
with
came
the
on,
wand.
You knew shit was about to go down. So before we read off the matchups that we're going to reveal the winners of today, there are 3 points up for grabs in each of these respective matchups between the 2 movies. And of course, whichever movie gets at least 2 out of the 3 points advances on to the Final Four. Banner, I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you happen to have the sheet pulled up that has the 3 possible points these movies are competing for, to tell our fans what they are?
For a change, I am prepared. I do have these 3 points.
All right. What are
the first one? Over the past week or so, we have put up some Twitter polls, which, if you've heard the recent news, those won't be happening anymore. That's another story for another day, though. So your Twitter vote, that is 1 point. That is what we're considering the fan vote. Then, second point up for grabs, internet ratings. This is when we are going to take IMDb, Letterboxd, and Rotten Tomatoes. And best 2 out of 3 is going to win that point. And last but not least, the most important point, which I think should be worth like 5 personally, but that's the Bros ratings. And that is the 3 of us duking it out to decide which movie gets that third and final most valuable point.
Perfect. So again, you got to win 2 out of 3 to advance. 3 out of 3, you cover the spread, which is probably more important on this podcast. All right. Go ahead, click on the bracket if you're at home and you want to follow along. If not, if you're driving, you know what? Pull over and click on it. Work's not that fucking important. This matters.
Or maybe there's just an emergency vehicle.
Probably even a better reason to pull over. All right, Matt, why don't you tell the people what the first matchup is? And then if you want, you can even just go right into the Twitter vote. What do the fans actually say the winner is for this one? Because it's pretty interesting.
Right, round 1, Alley Cat Strike versus High School Musical. Twitter vote, it's a tie, 50-50.
36 votes, which for us is a decent amount, I guess, because it's always hard to get people to interact with these.
We don't have any bots voting, so that's a fucking, in the whole, we're the Whole Foods of Twitter. We're fucking organic, non-GMO voting. Like, there's no fluff in ours. It's all real votes.
Absolutely, this is real organic humans voting, no robots. And they fucked us over because they tied, basically leaving the onus. I mean, we need something to sweep these 2 competitions here. So if it is a tie, I think we just decided one of us is just going to yell in the other room to our wife, which movie do you like better? And that'll settle the debate. All right, Banner, how do the internet ratings pull out? Which technically, and I promise is the only tie in the Twitter vote, so we won't have to deal with this again. But this is actually going to be unceremoniously the first point given out in this matchup. What did the fans or people on the internet of these films think was the better movie?
All right, IMDb, we have Alley Cat Strike with a 6.0 out of 10, and High School Musical with a very, very slim of margins, 5.5 out of 10. Alley Cat Strike gets the first point of the first point.
Let me just say this real quick, and maybe you guys will disagree, but of all the internet ratings platforms, I think IMDb is the harshest. Just because we're using the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, which tends to be a little more forgiving. IMDb is typically some ruthless voters on that website.
High School Musical is a little past my time. Alley Cat Strike, came out, I think I was like in 7th or 8th grade, but that seems low for High School Musical because that just seemed like, I don't remember Alley Cat Strike, blowing up the way High School Musical is. If I believe right, wasn't High School Musical like in Walmart on like Trapper Keepers and shit?
Yes.
Like it was like
definitely.
It was everywhere.
Okay. That's really low for that. Boosted Zac Efron.
Vanessa Hudgens.
Okay. Just tidbit. Keep going.
Okay.
That's what we're supposed to do in the pod, right? Talk. Sorry. Keep going, Banner.
But I'm not 100%.
All right. Letterboxd, which I think is probably the best audience representation if we're just going to go and call a spade a spade. Alley Cat Strike, 2.6 out of 5. High School Musical, 3.2 out of 5.
That's a pretty sizable victory on Letterboxd.
I would agree.
So I guess now Matt's theory is holding up a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Rotten Tomatoes, Alley Cat Strike, 51% audience score. High School Musical, 74% audience score.
That seems
High School Musical taking it.
Yeah, that seems really low for an Alley Cat Strike audience score. That's not going to work,
I agree.
All right, so High School Musical wins the internet ratings point. So for Alley Cat Strike to force the scream at our wives in the other room tiebreaker, they're going to have to win 2 out of 3 of the Bros ratings. So I guess, Matt, why don't you go first? I know you said High School Musical was a little bit past your time, but does Alley Cat Strike hold up enough for you to still be considered the better movie?
Sorry to cut you off. I got Disney Channel app, whatever, before Christmas sometime, and I actually watched this recently. In the last 6 months anyway.
Alley Cat Strike, you did?
Alley Cat Strike. High School Musical I've seen. It's been a couple of years. I know what it is. Alley Cat Strike, though, for a Disney Channel original movie, rewatching it, that could happen. Everything in that movie could happen. There's nothing in that movie that I'm like, oh my God, this is Disney Channel stupid shit. literally, I mean, it's two rival schools. They face off, and then the school gets to pick what sport. They pick bowling. The kids that are really good at bowling are outcasts. So you pick the greatest athlete. Obviously, in 2 months, if you're a good enough athlete and you practice, you could probably get pretty good at bowling.
Yeah.
I mean, the music in this, the fashion. I remember in 8th grade, I'm like, dude, I want to dress like the guy from My Cousin Skeeter and fucking Coach Carter. I mean, Alley Cat Strike's a good fucking film, I think. I'm surprised that it got such low percentages on Letterboxd and Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, it's a movie that can happen. The acting's not awful, obviously, with I don't know the actor's name from Coach Carter, but then you got the chick from Big Bang Theory in it.
Kaley Cuoco, yeah.
You have some good actors in this. The dad, the African American dad in it, he's in other movies too. Obviously, like a C-level actor, but
and is he the guy who I get him in? Who's like the mayor of the town?
He's in Sister. He's Sister's dad. That's who he is. But this is a good
dad.
Yeah, good flick, dude. Alley Cat Strike's a good movie. I'm picking Alley Cat Strike.
All right, one vote for Alley Cat Strike. Banner, what say you?
So I'm very familiar with both of these movies. Alley Cat Strike, like Geiger said, just a phenomenal, good movie, top to bottom. Again, everything can happen in real life. Probably has happened. Maybe not with bowling, but maybe like underwater basket weaving or badminton.
Pickleball.
High School Musical. Well, yes, again, I enjoy it. I think it's a good movie. Got some bangers in it. What it did for society and culture of its time was unprecedented. Is there another High School Musical? Is there another DCOM that made the impression on society or on American culture like High School Musical did?
It was everywhere. Whether you liked it or not, it was pervasive.
Everywhere. Yeah, if you didn't like it, you liked it by the time you were done just because it was everywhere.
I mean,
it was
like
on your
Matt
fucking
said.
yogurt.
Matt was like, not even buying Trapper Keepers at the time, sees it on like school supplies.
That's how I first realized it, then I watched it. I would say Brink was more, kind of, it wasn't on Trapper Keepers and as publicized at like a chain like Walmart, but I'd say like when we were kids, like Brink was, I would say the only thing close to this, but once again, it wasn't like, there wasn't posters of Brink in Walmart you could buy for your bedroom wall.
Unfortunately, no.
So with that being said, I am going to have to go with Alley Cat Strike as well. And that is purely because it is just a better movie. While that is not taking anything away from High School Musical, it's just not as good as Alley Cat Strike.
What a swerve. Like
Yeah.
suck dick for like whole things. Like, by the way, I'm going with the other movie though. Jeff, back to you.
It's like when you introduce Deadpool on your top 100 list, you like shit on it the whole time, and then like also it's my number 58 movie of the whole time or whatever.
The 50th greatest movie I've ever fucking seen in my 30 years of existence. So,
I think I also have to go with Alley Cat Strike, and I'm coming at this from an interesting spot because I actually really enjoy High School Musical, but Banner knows this. It's not even my favorite High School Musical movie. No. High School Musical 3, which has twice as many bangers and opens with an absolute, like, try and not get up out of your seat. 16 minutes left. Better get it done. I mean, Jesus Christ. I listen to that at the gym every time I need to set a new record for bench max. But the original High School Musical, it's a little too campy and not so much in a fun way. I don't think, and it's impossible because it wasn't the cultural phenomenon yet, but they're not in on the joke yet, you know?
Yeah.
Which doesn't, in a weird way, doesn't play as well. Normally you'd think like, oh, it'd be funnier when they weren't in on the joke, but it's a little too competently made and not tongue-in-cheek enough. And Alley Cat Strike, while on a rewatch, it definitely wasn't as good as I initially remembered it.
Check out our commentary.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did do one on that one. For me, in the time that I was watching these movies, like anytime the DCOM would incorporate like a sports element into something, that was, of course, like, pun intended, right down my alley. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Now you're speaking my language. And I think Matt can probably attest to this too. It was one of those movies where like after you saw it as a kid, if it was like a Friday night and you were having a sleepover, you're like, dude, let's go fucking bowling, right? Like that sounds fun. So Alley Cat Strike, I just think connected with me more when it came out.
And
Say that again?
V-neck sweater.
Oh, sick. There you go.
Do that before the bowl.
And yeah, I like High School Musical, but again, if it were High School Musical 3, I'd go with that one, no question. But that was a theatrical release and thus is ineligible in this tournament. And High School Musical 2 just sucks ass. So
like all the ass.
All right, so it's 1-1 because we unfortunately had a tie on the Twitter poll. So I guess Banner, has Brooke Banner seen both of these movies?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Would you mind? We can announce it later, but if you were to text her right now, would she be able to respond maybe by the end of the show with which is the better film?
I'm sure she can. I will text her right now.
Let her know the fate of the universe is on the line.
Fate? Actually, I'm not going to type this.
I know.
Hey, the fate of the universe is on the line, period. Which is better, Alley Cat Strike or High School Musical? The first one. Question mark.
What if Alexa just answers you back? One of them. She's seen it.
Yeah, we know this one she likes more. All right. I guess we'll come back to that one then, Banner, whenever you get an answer. But
yeah,
tied 1-1.
That right there is that's called keeping you guys till the end of the show.
Bingo. Hey, speaking of smart Alexa devices listening to us, Matt, why don't you read the people what the next matchup is in DCOM Movie Madness? This is an interesting one because both of these films feature the same lead actor.
This was my favorite matchup, by the way.
I was going to say that, and I wish someone would know his name. He was actually in Jackie.
He's also in The Deep End of the Ocean with Bruce Willis and...
42. He was in 42, the Jackie Robinson movie. Why the fuck I call it Jackie?
Ryan Merriman.
Versus Smart House with Katie Seagal from Married with Children and Sons of Anarchy. It says Smart House is directed by LeVar Burton. Is that like Tim Burton's son?
No, that's the Reading Rainbow guy. That's why I wrote it on there. From Star Trek. You remember him?
Twitter vote, we have 72% for Smart House.
Yeah, pretty decisive victory for Smart House here.
Internet ratings, IMDb, Smart House 6.1 out of 10. Luck of the Irish 6.1 out of 10. I need to fucking... We might need to, like, if anything ever needed a recount.
So I actually... And if you guys want to do this differently, we can for sure. But I gave the tiebreaker to Luck of the Irish because it has 8.2 thousand votes versus 7.8 thousand votes for Smart House.
The Irish is that high. Smart House for Letterboxd 2.7 out of 5. Luck of the Irish 1.5 out of 5.
Yeah, Letterboxd hates Luck of the Irish.
Okay, hold on. Wait. Luck of the Irish did better on IMDb than High School Musical?
Yeah.
How the fuck does that happen?
I don't know, man. This matchup is insane because, number one, it stars the same actor in both films. And wait till Matt tells you what happened on Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes is a tie, 53% for both.
Holy shit.
But again, for this one, once again, there's no critic reviews for either of these movies, or at least not enough that it gives it a rating. So
I have a theory for this whenever we pass it to me.
Okay.
Why these percentages are what they are.
Well, you can go right now. I just want to say I gave the tiebreaker once again to Luck of the Irish to give it the 2 out of 3 internet win because on Rotten Tomatoes it has 5,000 plus reviews to Smart House's 2,500 plus reviews. So it's maintained that rating with twice as many reviews.
I think first off, Luck of the Irish, the first couple scenes, like it's actually a good movie. Until it gets to the climax.
Right. Until the plot actually...
Yeah, until the plot actually happens. Like, because I was in middle school basketball. I'm like, man, this is a fucking cool movie. I mean, the basketball scenes are actually kind of, for Disney Channel, like, they're fine. And, they show the practice and everything. And him taking the test and he fucking just guesses and gets it all right. Like, man, that'd be fucking awesome if that happened. Yeah. Smart House, I think, is the idiocracy of Disney Channel original movies. It was just way before its time. I think if people watch it now with AI just flourishing everywhere, I think some of these numbers would be higher for Smart House. Because when that happened, it was almost like if someone did a movie of like some company basically where you order everything. Like you don't go to the grocery store. I'm talking about Amazon, and then it like fucking has a drone that flies it to your door. Like this is so dumb, it'll never fucking happen, and then it does. Smart house, actually, a smart house hasn't really happened like that. I mean, you have like a automatic lock doors and shit like that. More of a smartphone, but it was way before its time. But if you watch it now, you're like with AI, you're like, yeah, everyone can agree. I mean, we're gonna enjoy the ride to hell, but AI is gonna kill us all one day.
Absolutely. Real quick, Banner, and then
Yeah.
I'll let you jump in. I think the reason Smart House, it
Sorry.
was way ahead of its time, a really interesting idea, but it wasn't close enough to reality to really be like scary or like super interesting to us, because you're like, well, yeah, but this is like, we're not even close to this. Now we're past the point, but if this movie would have come out like 10 years later, then it might have had some real people like, oh shit, look at this concept.
I'd like to see the dates on all of these. I mean, we probably can't pull them, but like of all these percentages, because I bet they were years ago.
Yeah, probably a good point. Banner, before we rate, what do you think about the way the internet is so divided on these two films?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Luck of the Irish is just at its core a non-believable story. Smart House, now we're like 10 years away from that being a documentary.
Yeah.
I mean,
And a boring one too. People are like, and
yeah. So I think that is something that one is still fictitious, where the other one is like, hey, actually, this isn't as far-fetched as it once seemed to be.
Right.
I think we all can agree that we'd rather watch cat videos and have AI kill us in our sleep than not have cat videos on our phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When people are like,
I didn't even realize that was up for debate.
I think we all have this statement when like Hulu plays an ad for something that you were just talking about to your wife. Some people are like, oh my God, that's creepy as fuck. But I'm pretty sure Matt, being like the marketing guru that he is like, good. Only show me ads for shit that you know I'm interested in. I don't care if you're listening.
To listen to everything I say, because when I have 20 minutes at work and I'm just going to drink my protein shake and watch a YouTube video, I don't want to scroll all day. Give me shit I want to fucking watch.
Right. Yeah. Whatever. The government knows all my secrets anyway. So if you listen and hear that, yes, I'm interested in like golf swing videos, don't make me sort through fucking HelloFresh unboxings. Show me what I want to see.
I'm not mad about HelloFresh unboxings.
I spoke out of turn. That was a bad example. You're right.
And honestly, with us, like, I mean, we like, oh, the government knows everything. Cool. You're not important enough for them to fucking even care about. Like, if you're like maybe in office or something and maybe could actually move some fucking pillars, you might be scared of that, but no one cares about Geiger from the government's doing.
That's the other thing. These people, they're like, oh, they're listening. Like, get the fuck over yourself, bro. They don't give a shit. You're not important. All right. 1-1 tie, because Twitter loves Smart House and the internet, I wouldn't say loves Luck of the Irish, but it's very close. So it comes down to the bros. Banner, we'll let you go first. Luck of the Irish or Smart House, which Ryan Merriman movie gets your vote to advance in the DCOM Movie Madness tournament?
Smart House. Not even fucking close in my mind. I have not been quiet about my love for Smart House. My goal since I've seen that movie as a child was to turn my house into a smart house. I am embarrassed at how automated my house is. Not really. It's very automated.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I like that. So Smart House, again, because it's so close to being a documentary. And again, at the time, even now, I'm obviously very science fiction oriented. I like that genre instead of the fantasy genre of leprechauns and growing ears to play basketball better.
Yeah. All right, Geiger, how about you? I actually have no idea we're going to fall on this one.
Smart House. I mean, first act, I would probably give it to Luck of the Irish. But and best scene, just throwing back, if you're first listening ever, we usually grade these on 5 criteria. One being best scene, has to be whenever he tells the Smart House to play a video, and it's the band 5, which a lot of you probably don't know, but they're like I don't know, the generic store-bought brand Backstreet Boys, and they all know the dance. And man, when I watched that, I'm like, God.
Oh, I do. That is like the cringiest part of the whole movie. Now that I'm
No, when I first watched it, I'm like, God, that's cool as shit, because I was in 8th grade. Now I watch it, I'm like, God, I was the biggest fucking douche ever with my curves, my hairdo, and everything. But that was the style, bro.
you get in or get out. So this is a little bit difficult for me. I know I just mentioned how much I love when D Comes would incorporate sports movies, but For Luck of the Irish gets a little too gimmicky with the premise of like his lineage to Ireland, and the ears really lose me, Banner. I'm totally with you.
Yep.
So I kind of have to go with Smart House, although I remembered this movie being way more interesting than it actually was going back and watching it. It takes the concept is cool, but like none of the things it does with it are really that interesting. Like the party that he throws and like vacuuming up the house and all that stuff is kind of cool, but for the most part, this could have gone some way different places. Almost like that movie Her with where Scarlett Johansson is like the Siri on the guy's phone, on Joaquin Phoenix's phone.
Joaquin Phoenix, yeah, fucking weird ass movie.
But again, I think this is more of an indictment to Luck of the Irish, how much I dislike it versus how much I love Smart House, to give Smart House the edge to advance. So Smart House moves on, and whenever Brooke Banner decides what...
We have an answer.
Uh-oh, here we go. Who is advancing to play it from Alley Cat Strike?
Probably checking Rotten Tomatoes and whatever,
Yep.
Lunchbox or whatever it's called, to see what people think.
She did some extensive research, and here is the text from Brooke Banner. Oh, I probably like High School Musical more.
Wow.
Dude, Efron's in it. Efron gets...
I know.
With that flow that he had?
I know.
All right, High School Musical will advance to play Smart House.
I will say you can't deny the chemistry that him and Vanessa Hudgens had in that movie.
Well, I mean, they were fucking in real life, so yeah.
Yeah, and
Efron-
sending naked pictures to each other.
Nice.
Can we get any of those?
We did.
I'll send you the link.
Of Efron?
I was gonna say I only found Efron's. I didn't look
Yeah.
for the other ones, so.
But did you only search for Efrons?
Yeah, that's all.
I wasn't interested in Hudgens's.
Oh, well, maybe they're out there. I don't know. You type in, did Vanessa Hudgens get Zac Efron's nudes? Like, well, that's not what I thought the Google search would be, but okay. All right, next matchup. Banner, who's competing here? This is like the movie Rocky Balboa. It's old school versus new school.
Yeah. Am I doing Twitter? I'll do this one.
Sure. Let them know who's competing here, too.
Oh, okay. So from the blue corner, in the old school, Johnny Tsunami, the original one, not the second one, the first one, versus the red corner, the new school, Descendants. Twitter vote, not even fucking close. 80% Johnny Tsunami gets the point.
Now, before we move on, just for the people at home, and maybe Geiger specifically, Banner, can you give like the 15-second elevator pitch on the concept of Descendants? Because I actually think it's pretty cool, the idea of the film.
So the idea of Descendants is you have all of the kids of the heroes and villains of all of our childhood favorite cartoons. Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, all of them. Snow
Aladdin.
White,
And it's live
Aladdin,
action, right?
101 Dalmatians. So all of the heroes locked all of the villains on what they call the Isle of, I don't know, on some island. They call it something fancy. Isle of the Disgraced or something, maybe? I don't remember. But the kids of the heroes decide, hey, I believe it's Belle and Beast's son is set to become king, and his first decree as king is he is inviting 4 villainous kids to join their boarding school with all of the heroes' kids. And things happen from there.
And is it a musical?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay, cool.
The music in this it's solid. It's not. It's the upper echelon. I will
It's not
say
Billy Joel at MSG, but it'll get you where you need to go.
Exactly.
All right, so Twitter loves Johnny Tsunami. Geiger, do you want to do the internet?
I'd love to. IMDb, Johnny Tsunami, 6.2 out of 10. Descendants, 6.3 out of 10. That's fucking very close.
Razor thin.
Yeah.
Getting closer. Letterbox, Johnny Tsunami, 2.7 out of 5. Descendants, 3 flat out of 5. And Rotten Tomatoes, Johnny Tsunami, 62%, and Descendants, 66%. So clean sweep for Descendants over
But
Wow.
Very close though, right? Like 0.1
Yeah.
on IMDb and 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like Descendants eking by, but a win's a win.
Someone told me once it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
I believe that was Jesus Christ.
It was in this book called The Bible. If you ever
The Bible.
Bible.
All right, so we got 1 point each because Johnny Tsunami dominated the Twitter vote. Descendants wins the internet ratings. It's going to come down to us. Banner, I'll let you go first.
Oh God.
This is tough for you because you're the one guy. I mean, you having a daughter, obviously, but let's be honest, you would have watched Descendants anyway.
Yeah, that's cute that you think I watched Descendants after I had a daughter.
Like, actually, I've seen it 9 times the last 2 months. She's never seen it, so that's where we're at. But you, I think, are the one who has a foot in each realm here. You're like,
this one and our final matchup are both very, very hard for me to judge. I think in this case, I am going to have to say Johnny Tsunami, but just barely eking by. The concept and the premise of Descendants, I think, is very, very interesting and very cool. I don't think it was executed that well. Johnny Tsunami is just a fucking blast, right? And especially when it came out, like, everybody wanted to be a surfer or a snowboarder back in that, when we were that age, and this came out. I mean, it was just fucking fun. It was a blast. What more can you say?
Fair points, Geiger. I think I know where you're going to lie, but who gets your vote?
Dude, I personally think Johnny Tsunami is the best Disney Channel original movie ever. Fucking ever. I mean, the story is just so... it's simple for a Disney movie, I guess, but it's very complex. There's so many layers to all these characters. You got the grandpa who's just a surfer bum, and of course,
Sung Shang from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, yes, Shang from Mortal Kombat. Great casting. And then the grandson is like, dude, I like to surf. I'm a kid. And the dad, who, even though they're Pacific Islander, he looks Asian, so he's like, can't you just like math? Like, I want you to like math.
Get on a laptop or something.
Yeah, and so they moved to. Was like Wisconsin or fucking somewhere way up north. I can't even remember where it's at.
Maine?
Maybe.
Vermont?
It's something like that. And he goes to a rich school. And of course, the richy bitchy kids fucking ski and the bros snowboard. And the great part about it is, once again, I've never surfed. I really want to take surfing lessons one day. I've snowboarded a couple times, but just the difference of it, there's certain sports that look alike, but they're totally different mechanically. And Jet Jackson comes in and he's like, no, you can't, you got to steer with the back of your board. It's not like surfing where you steer with the front of your board. It might be opposite. I don't fucking know. But just the mechanical thing of it, and, him just like learning how to snowboard. And it's a very good montage of him not being able to do it at all, even though he's a fantastic surfer.
Yeah, great athlete.
There's a love story kind of involved. There's kind of the, the socias versus the fucking jocks, like outsiders.
Sea urchins, bro.
A ton of character development in this. It's a very good movie. Like, I'm not even being sarcastic. If you watch it, I'm like, there's a lot of layers to these characters. It's pretty well acted for a Disney Channel original movie, and a lot of character development. Pretty cool story to follow along with a lot of twists and turns. Johnny Tsunami.
Yeah. Johnny Tsunami is going to advance anyway. I'll make it a clean sweep here for Johnny Tsunami. No surprise to anybody. I'll just say 2 things that Matt, because I agree with everything you said, to echo your points. Number 1, the DComs, to me, like the spirit of them, is they're kind of a simple premise, right? It's either fish out of water or it's like some weird thing happens in a small town. So the ones like The Descendants, I appreciate the idea, but to me, it's really not in the spirit of what a low-budget Disney Channel original movie is, if that makes sense,
100%.
I respect what it's trying to do, though. And the Johnny Tsunami film, to me, is case in point. Like Matt said, maybe the best DCOM. I think it follows the formula that I craved as a kid. Once a month, we got one of these, and here's what it did for you. A premise that's relatable. It involves sports, but not like to a wacky degree like Luck of the Irish. And basically, they just recycle the actors that we love. Not only does this have the famous Jet Jackson, but also has Kristen Storms, who plays Xenon in the Disney Channel original movie. So the premise was or the blueprint was there, and when the Disney Channel followed it, it was always a success with me. It resonated, and so that's why Johnny Tsunami, like as far as like the parts that make up like Frankenstein's monster, for putting all the pieces into it, like the heart and the brain and all that, it has everything that a Disney Channel original movie needs for, 9 to 11-year-old Jeff Hornacek to have just been freaking out on his couch on Friday night when it came out. So Johnny Tsunami advances.
You didn't want Jet Jackson's like Predator stocking cap.
Dude, that was fucking sick. Like, I wanted that so bad. Good for him. Rest in peace. All right, Johnny Tsunami advances, beating the Descendants. And we have one matchup left to get to the final four. Geiger, why don't you let the people know who will be competing in this one? This could be your considered, at least if we did it, probably our like 1 versus 16 matchup.
Oh, yeah. Brink versus Zombies 2. Twitter vote 81% Brink. Thanks, fans. Internet ratings IMDb 6.9 out of 10 for Brink. 5.7 out of 10 for Zombies 2. Letterboxd Brink 3 flat out of 5. Zombies 2 2.4 out of 5. And Rotten Tomatoes 75% for Brink, 62% for Zombies 2.
Bloodbath.
Sweep for Brink on every category.
Yeah. All right. So Brink is going to advance. Now, Banner, do you know enough about Zombies 2 to let the people know?
Do I know enough about Zombies 2? Please.
I think that is a maybe.
Little background on it. Zombies 1, you find out that a town's power plant gets, I believe it was lime soda spilled on it, and infects a bunch of people and turns them. Just look, you either buy it or you don't. Okay.
All right, I buy it.
And turns half of them into zombies, like 30 years ago. Well, as technology advances, they have these things called Z-bands, little watches that zombies wear that essentially turns them back into human. It regulates their zombiness.
They're craving for flesh, you could say?
Yes.
Okay.
Are the zombies like now, though? They don't want to turn back into humans?
No, they want to. They want to be accepted by society. So the first one is the humans versus the zombies. Zombies get integrated into the human school, and they learn to coexist. Enter Zombies 2. We find out that, hey, everything is going good between these two entities. So why don't we throw something else in the mix? Werewolves. The werewolves, we learn that the source of their power is a stone that is actually buried underneath the demolished power plant. Gotcha. And everybody has to come together to decide whether we want to kill the werewolves or accept them into our society.
So are they always werewolves or only when the full moon comes out?
They're always werewolves.
Okay.
Yep. With the teeth and everything.
Got it. Shocked This one isn't going to win. Do we even need to do bros vote for this?
I think we do.
Okay. Banner, I'll let you go first.
Guys, Zombies. This is a tough one for me because I think Brink is one of the best Disney Channel original movies, but I will go on to say Zombies 2 has the best soundtrack of every.
Wait, this is a musical also?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Dude, it is banger after fucking banger after fucking banger. Okay?
I got to be honest. After everything you said, I want to make fun of it, but that sounds so fucking ridiculous that I'm kind of interested.
Dude, this is worth it. Don't
in the odds because we didn't have many musicals. And now like they all are.
That's like the new age DCOM, I think.
Yeah. I think High School Musical is that turning point. That's when they started doing musicals. You get the Wizards of Waverly Place. You got all the Camp Rocks with the Jonas Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Zombies. In Descendants, I just realized that I know way too much about the newer DCOMs. With all that being said, Zombies 2 deserved its time to be talked about, but Brink is the better movie. You just skate better.
Genius. By the way, commentary coming soon for Brink. April 19th. Geiger, how about you? Zombies 2 or Brink? Or is it Nunya?
Power Ranger. Not the color of his skin, but he actually was the black Power Ranger in it.
See, I don't even notice stuff like that, but cool.
Brink was actually well acted, I thought. I don't know about you all.
It's got Sid from Toy Story in it.
Awful,
Who's also Spike from Little Giants.
awful story. Just doesn't hold up. I mean, any kid's like, man, you love baseball? Like, yeah, I want to go pro one day. Like, no,
Sell out.
I'd rather just play in an old man's league, even though I'm really good, because I don't want to play for money. Because I'm a soul. We're soul potters. We don't play for money, even though we monetize YouTube. It's just awful. It makes no fucking sense. I mean, if you're good enough, like, wouldn't you want to like make money doing it? And he does it because his family is gonna lose their house and everything. Because he did it for all the right reasons.
His dad fucked up his workers' comp paperwork, and his sister needs braces.
Yeah. Yeah, because his dad fell off a ladder, right, and couldn't work for a while or something. Yep. Even though, I don't know, dude, that different story for a different time. But that ladder seemed like he maybe staged it. Anyway, but most of the time, Disney Channel original movies is supposed to teach you something. Like, he did it for all the right reasons. He was doing it for his family. He was, trying to help. And then his friends are like, "Man, you suck. I hate you." But they were just kind of followers. They were just doing everything he was saying. So the premise is when I watch it now, I'm like, God, what the fuck? But it's better than Zombies 2.
Man, I gotta say, I'm really intrigued by Zombies 2. It's probably fucked up that we two of us haven't seen one of these movies, but the internet vote didn't even carry it, so I don't really feel too bad giving this vote to Brink. Brink, I don't want to bury the lead, but this next matchup between Brink and Johnny Tsunami, in my mind, and again, we're only one. I was gonna say we're only 1/3 of the vote, but the seeding, we didn't seed, we just randomly drew the matchups last pod, but this could very well be the championship match as far as I'm concerned between those two. So I'm really interested to see that. Brink is going to get the clean sweep here. Listen to our commentary on April 19th just to hear our full thoughts on it. But Geiger hit the nail on the head. As a kid, you don't really question the premise of it because it's a DCOM. I don't know more than these Disney Channel original movies. Then you look at it even when you're in your early 20s and you're like, wait, so he gets to do what he loves and get paid for it, and people are giving him shit for that? He's figured out the biggest mystery in life. How do I get paid to do what I love? And he's being basically ostracized and becomes a pariah in his friend group. Doesn't make any sense.
College. Just go to college, pay all this money, you'll do what you love.
Yeah, there was a scene in it where Andy Brinker is talking to his dad about the struggle that he's facing. And I kind of wish his dad would just be like, all right, Andy, let me lay this out for you. So you're really good at skating. Your friends aren't. You're good enough to get paid while you do it. Those friends want to make you feel bad for it. Sounds like you just have shitty fucking friends who are really selfish and jealous, and you need to fucking cut them out of your life. Problem solved.
Can we get some honorable mentions to one, Horse Sense, one of my favorite Disney Channel original movies with the Lawrence brothers. And the other one is the Jewish basketball movie, which is one of the worst fucking movies ever made. I can't remember what the fuck it is called.
What's that one called?
Miracle in Lane 2, also. Freddie Muniz.
Another one that barely missed out, Halloween Town and Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, a movie that I really legitimately like, not even ironically. I like Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire.
Is it Motocross? That was another good one.
Motocross is really good. Cadet Kelly. The Xenon movies, of course, are really fun.
Xenons don't hold up. Not even fucking close these days.
And one that I know we didn't include because it was based on a show, but I actually do like the famous Jet Jackson movie a lot also.
Even Steven's movie, if we're going in that realm, was solid as well.
Yeah, I'm not as big a fan of that one, but I respect the hustle.
Rest in peace, Shia LaBeouf's career.
No, he's still with us but yeah.
Yeah, he's still alive though.
Barely.
Test pilot survived.
By the way, I want to point that out. Great reference. All right, so our matchups that we will hit you with next week in the championship are as follows. High School Musical will take on Smart House. And then in our other Final Four matchup, Johnny Tsunami versus Brink to see who will make it to the championship matchup and then be crowned the best Disney Channel original movie of all time. Unequivocally. After it wins this, it's not up for debate anymore. All right, we're ready to move on to Protein Shake.
Do it.
All right, first off, follow us on Twitter at Bro4Squad. We still have, I think, another 2 weeks before Elon Musk makes us pay to post polls online, so hopefully we can get the rest of the tournament in. You guys can help us out. Our Protein Shake, the next part of our show, is where we go around and talk about what's in our cup, also known as What Have We Watched Lately? Guys, I actually have a really light protein shake this week. I recently wrote a squad blog you can find on our website, bro4squad.com, where we call them shower beers, where we just talk about all the things we've watched lately that we just don't get to talk about on the show. So after having written that, I only have really 3 things, and one of them I'm only going to briefly mention because it is a review that we have on our channel. So I'll go last. Banner, do you want to go first?
Yeah, but I'll need you to remind me. Did I talk about 9 Perfect Strangers last week?
I don't think you did, although I have seen the show.
Okay. Watch 9 Perfect Strangers, original on Hulu. Really liked it.
Wow.
Some of the you didn't like it?
It was incredibly boring and just did not really go anywhere interesting for me. Really good cast. Bobby Cannavale is pretty good in it, but yeah, it was a slog to get through.
I will say it was kind of slow to get through, but I thought the acting was phenomenal. I loved Michael Shannon in it. I thought his character was very well done.
I would have watched just a movie on his family.
100%.
Their story was interesting enough to carry the whole show. Sadly, they have to share screen time with a lot of much less compelling story arcs.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think it's worth a poke, personally. I didn't find it as slow as you may have, Horns.
Yeah, so it's based on a book, and I think the pacing, I just don't think it needed to be as many. What was it, 12 episodes or something?
8, 12. I'd agree with that. It could probably go down to a 6.
Because really, I won't spoil anything for someone who still wants to watch it because it's on Hulu, but Nicole Kidman's character, a lot of the allure, the mystery behind both her motives and then her relationships with some people at the retreat, it sort of takes so long to even give you a morsel of anything relevant with that story that by the time they do reveal it, I'm like, dude, I don't even care anymore.
I could see that. I think they were leaving enough breadcrumbs, at least for me, that I was interested and curious.
Did Nicole Kidman's accent bother you at all?
100%.
Ukrainian Russian deal? Yeah, that was a little rough.
Yeah, I would have just rather them have. I don't know if that is the character in the book. I haven't read it. If they're, what is that, Eastern European or Russian, but just leave her as Australian and just make her an Australian, and I don't think it would have changed anything.
Yeah, that's a great point. She's Australian. Just fucking make the character Australian.
Yeah.
Help everyone out.
But yeah, I suggest it. I liked it. I think it's worth it. Check that out, Hulu.
All right, 9 Perfect Strangers. Geiger, what's in your cup?
I got 3 things. First thing I'll talk about is what we watched last night. And luckily our kid played by himself for an hour. And that is Django and you're right. That is Django Unchained.
Oh, yeah.
I watched this because Tarantino, there's news that he's coming out with his 10th final film. The plot sounds like whatever. I think it's a producer in Hollywood or something like that. I'll never forget when Django Unchained was first announced. It's Tarantino's doing a black empowerment movie, Western with a love story. And me and my friends were like, what? And then you watch it and it makes total fucking sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just brilliantly done. But I want to talk about the third act when Leo and Samuel Jackson come in. Is the dinner scene the greatest? This might have to be another movie madness countdown, but greatest Tarantino scenes. Obviously, the end of Pulp Fiction with him and Walter having breakfast. But is the dinner scene the greatest Tarantino scene ever? Me and my wife.
All the gifts it's given us. All the memes.
The memes and there's some stuff I forgot to when they first were meeting DiCaprio and there's yeah, he likes to be called Monsieur Candy, and then Christophe Waltz starts talking French. No, don't talk French to him; he'll get embarrassed. He just likes the sound of it, but
I know, yeah.
French.
He's like a little kid. It's he likes this, but he doesn't really know what it is.
He is. It's so, and DiCaprio's the only one that can make a white slave owner in the South. Actually, people kind of like his character, even though he's
I don't want to be him, but I want his unabashed swag. His self-confidence does not mirror what he actually is at all. It's great.
God, he's great. And then when Samuel Jackson just knows everything that's going on and tells him, and DiCaprio's just like, if he was a snake, he would have jumped up and fucking bit me. Like,
Yeah,
he
that fucking snitch.
Christoph Waltz, it's so hard to say if he's better than this or Inglourious Bastards because he's a villain versus, a good guy or whatever. And Jamie Foxx, God, there is a God because they didn't allow Will Smith to be
I was
in
going to
this
say,
movie.
how Will Smith has clearly made a lot of stupid decisions in his life. He turned down The Matrix. He slapped Chris Rock. How do you turn this role down, dude?
It was offered to him before Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
It's insane. But this film, I mean, I'm a big Tarantino fan, and all of his films are so different. It's hard to compare them, except for the stories, the directing so well, and then just the content, like, the characters talking back and forth, dialogue. But that dinner scene, my God. And DiCaprio actually, like, literally, that was real blood. He didn't mean to do that. And
Oh, wow.
Tarantino keep fucking rolling. YouTube it. DiCaprio tells a really cool story. He's like, I just banged my head down and started bleeding. And I saw Quentin go, like, around the camera being like, oh, my God. And look at someone's like, just keep rolling. And then so when he wiped it on that girl's face, like, that was his real blood, which is insane.
That lucky girl.
That is absolutely absurd.
It makes you want to watch the scene again, because when I heard that first, I was like, I need to watch this fucking scene again. But that whole thing, dude, that movie, I think might be my favorite Tarantino movie, just because I'm such a fan of Westerns. It's so fucking long, though, but God, it's
and
great.
that's his problem. And I think, like, Tarantino's genius is sometimes his, like, biggest weakness, because, like, a movie like The Hateful Eight that I like, but it is grueling to get through because it's just him, like, soaking in the broth of this incredible dialogue that he writes.
Yeah.
But that's hard for people to sit through, man. And in Django,
a lot of, I mean, we even talk about the Don Johnson scene, but when they're out being bounty hunters and shit, there's a lot of, action.
Yeah, Django has more plot than the typical Tarantino script, I would say. At least I haven't seen it in probably 5 or 6 years, but the way I remember it is it's more kinetic. It's always moving forward a little bit more than most Tarantino movies.
There's some hard scenes to watch, though, like when they're fighting to the death in the living room, or when one slave gets eaten by dogs and shit. There's some scenes that I'm like, all right, I'm going to fast forward through this.
Well, just the whole end of it, like, Jesus Christ. Like, if you're squeamish at all, don't.
At the end of it, I can watch because it's, he's taking care of the bad guys and shit like that. But when it's someone that I feel for, that I like, that's hard to watch.
Kerry Washington, right? She plays Django's wife.
Yep.
I forgot about that. Also,
Jonah Hill makes an appearance.
Oh my God, a hilarious cameo. Also, just hilarious to think about the mental image I got of Christoph Waltz's little wagon with the tooth on the top of it.
Yeah, he's Dr. Scholl's. It's like going down.
Like the shoe doctor, but he's a dentist.
And then every time he kills someone, they're about to kill him. He's like pointing in his pocket. He's like, I have a bounty for this person, and if you shoot me, then you're going to be hung by the neck till you die.
It's just like a blank piece of paper that he carries around.
Yeah, it's so fucking good. But once again, if we want to have this fun conversation, I mean, you got the Pulp Fiction's got a bunch of scene Reservoir Dogs, but then you got the scene from Inglourious Bastards when he's drinking the milk and the Jews are right underneath his feet. I mean, that's tension.
Incredible scene, yeah.
If we could actually do that tournament, I don't know if I could pick some of these scenes. Be interesting.
Yeah, it would be tough, especially because like the difference between all the good ones is not that great.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has like 3 or 4 scenes that are just fucking phenomenal too. So.
Oh, yeah. Scene where Brad Pitt goes to that compound to find the guy in the bed. What is Django streaming on?
It was actually on BET. I just taped it.
Oh, nice. That's cool. All right. I have 3 things, but I'm just going to mention 2 of them really quick, and then the last one I'll talk about just a little bit. But Cocaine Bear, I saw it in theaters about a month ago now. We did a review. I believe it was me, Nate Thurman, and Cycly who did the review. So go check that out. Very bro movie. I won't tell you if I loved it or if I didn't like it. Go listen to the review. And it's on video on demand now. So if you haven't seen it, you can check it out even just from home. I think it's like I don't know how much it is to rent, but it's probably not too much. One other thing that I watched. So I've been doing this thing lately, like going back and revisiting like kid shows, stuff that I watched when I was a kid. And latest up on the docket, I've been watching a lot of these recently, was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Right now I'm currently on season 1, episode 9. And I will just say this. The villain the Power Rangers fight in this episode, Brian, you'll love this. His name is Tickle Sneezer. He is one of Trini's dolls who Trini brings to class at Angel Grove High School as part of show and tell. And Rita, I have to say, Rita's a fucking creep. She is like always watching the kids. Like probably when they're going to the bathroom, when they're masturbating, whatever, Rita's there. Because during class, and by the way, it's great because every main character on the show is in the same fucking English class, 3rd period, so that's convenient. Bulk, Skull, all the Power Rangers. But Rita is like watching them in class do show and tell. Her, Goldar, whoever the fuck us up on her planet. And when Trini like starts going through her doll collection, Rita's like, oh, that doll, that's who we're going to use to attack the Power Rangers. And I want to be like, can you at least let them go to school? You know, like give them 5 minutes where you're not creeping on them.
How'd Trini die?
In real life?
Yeah.
I think a car
It
accident.
was a car accident. Yeah.
If you would have asked me to guess, probably would have been my first answer.
You would have said what, like drug overdose?
No, I probably would have said a car accident.
Oh, would have been your first guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're actually doing a special. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer.
I've seen this.
Looks awesome.
I've seen it on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, I think actually Cycly sent it in the group me. But that was part of the reason I was like, dude, let me go back and just check this show out. Look, it's not good television, but this is iconic and was really big in my formative years. Power Rangers. I know, Geiger, you and I always talk about like Saturday mornings. We'd eat our sugary cereal and do fucking like karate kicks in front of the TV while Power
Go
Rangers was
watch
on.
that trailer, Jeff. There's a split second where they're all running from a distance, and it looks like the Green Power Rangers there.
I saw that too. And there's also in the background of one of the scenes, it looks like miniature versions of the Pink Ranger, the Green Ranger, and one of the other ones. And so the theory is that Rita shrinks them at one point.
What was more impactful, when Kobe turned from 8 to 24, or when the Green Ranger turned to the White Ranger? I mean,
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
like, who dominated?
I don't know if you can decide between the two, right?
Yeah, it's like when Jesus walked on water or when he rose from the dead. You know, like what moved the needle more? I'll probably say Green Ranger turning to White Ranger. That just blew my mind. Or remember when they got new Zords? That was pretty sick.
If we're supposed to believe all women, then I'm gonna pick the Green Ranger to the white one.
I don't get this. Anyway, Tickle Sneezer was a name that I thought
The history, if you don't mind.
that I thought was worth mentioning. And also at the end of the episode, plug your ears if you don't want to hear what happens in Power Rangers Season 1, Episode 9. But Trini realizes that it was all a dream, and she's actually been, like Biggie Small says, and she was actually sleeping with her Tickle Sneezer doll in bed the whole time.
That's how
I
the
mean,
bro.
if you're gonna name your doll Tickle Sneezer, you deserve to be like haunted by it.
Our last
That?
episode, it's just all gonna be a dream.
Yep. That's how the pot. Yeah, that'll be our 1000th episode.
It's
Dreamt all this. All right, Banner, you got anything else?
Yeah, real quick. I've just with the new Ahsoka movie or show coming out, we know that there are a lot of Star Wars Rebels characters that are going to be in that. So I decided to go back and start watching Star Wars Rebels. So taking me about a month, but I'm through the first season now. And this is not Clone Wars, but my God, is it a ton of fun. Jeff, I know that you just powered through Clone Wars and almost up to date on Bad Batch, if I'm not mistaken.
I have not seen today's episode, but other than that, I am. And I love the Star Wars animated. Here's where I'm at, though. Like, canon is starting to become a bit of not a problem for me, but like in my head trying to think about like, all right, where are we at in the Star Wars timeline? And I'm worried considering right now Mandalorian and Clone Wars are going on. I know Mandalorian is post all of these.
Yes.
But if I started to watch Rebels, then I would have Clone Wars, which is after the prequel trilogy before the original trilogy. Rebels, which I guess is kind of in that same timeline, right? But like 10 years later.
So Clone Wars is between episode 2 and episode 3. Rebels is, I would
Bad
say,
Batch is
right
after
before
episode 3.
Andor.
Sorry. Bad Batch is after episode 3.
Correct.
And then you said Rebels is between.
I would say it's right before Andor, which obviously leads right up to Rogue One and the original trilogy.
Okay. And then Mandalorian, which I'm watching, is after Jedi.
Correct.
See, so it's a lot to watch concurrently, I guess.
You're all over the place. Yes, I would agree with that. This is the first time in the Star Wars universe where we really see what I would consider a family or a family unit working together, and it all still fits, fighting the Empire and everything. So it's just a new aspect. Also, I won't say. I'll say that here. In the latest episode of Mandalorian, Jeff, you watched it, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Nice little Rebels cameo in that episode at the very beginning. Zeb shows up. So that was
is that the guy at the bar?
Yeah, guy at the bar.
Oh, sweet.
And another fun fact, he was actually played by the same guy that voiced him in the show. I really like how they're doing that with a lot of these characters.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anytime they can. Geiger, I know you're relatively new to Disney Plus, and obviously you have a love-hate relationship with Lucas.
Now, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you canceled it?
I canceled all my streaming services in January because after I kept them all for Christmas movies.
Gotcha.
And I'm not really using them. So
that's fair.
I was trying to save some money. I bought a truck, so.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, and those streaming services, like when I realize I have like 8 of them now, so that shit all adds up each month. Did you ever give Mandalorian a poke, or were you still hurt from Rian Johnson?
No, these colors don't run. You know what I mean?
Love it.
I have 2 more things.
Yeah, lay it out, and then I just got one last one that we can.
Original kids sports movie I watched in lieu of opening day, and that is the original Bad News Bears. Did you know? Fun fact: PG-13 uses the N-word with a hard R 3 times in this movie.
Oh my god!
Go rewatch it. That was cool to throw around in the 70s.
It's a different time.
I love this movie. Wow, that I should have maybe said a couple more sentences before I said I love this movie. Just to let that breathe a little. However,
those out.
It's like the Mighty Ducks but rated R. I mean the coach Emilio Estevez got drunk and drove, but I mean Walter Matthau is just drinking through the whole thing. It's fucking hilarious. Rewatch it. I still do not like the Billy Bob Thornton one. I'll watch if it's on.
That's because it's
the last thing I watched in lieu of opening day, and I don't know if you turn on your smart TV and it'll kind of show you some stuff that you might dig, and I have Amazon Prime. Jeff and Banner, I would really love if you would try to watch this. I couldn't get through it, which is insane. But my dad's favorite athlete ever, Bo Jackson's probably second, but his first one is Reggie Jackson. And they have on Amazon Prime, a Reggie Jackson documentary. Jeff, have you seen this?
So this one just came out, right? Because I saw the trailer for it, but for some reason I thought it was coming out in October, which would have made sense.
Sure. I mean, or on opening day, but yeah, Mr. October, yeah. So I watched.
Now, Reggie, here's the thing that I know you're really particular with sports docs. Reggie Jackson is one of the most interesting athletes of his time to me, but a lot of that is because he was a colorful character off the field, and I just don't want this with him being involved to be like a puff piece.
I wish it was a puff piece. This is so bad.
Oh, bad.
Time and place, but so first I watched it, and this is fine, but I hate when they start from the very beginning. How they come up is interesting, I guess, but I want Oakland A's rookie year. That's where I want to start. Unless you're going to make this 5 hours. So he grew up in Alabama. So
it's not a show, it's a movie, right?
It's a documentary. It's like a 30 for 30, but worse.
Okay.
Grew up in Alabama playing baseball. Everything was racist. And then Hank Aaron comes in. I don't know why. I mean, I do. Reggie Jackson, I guess, they're both 44. He probably wanted 44. He's 9 for the A's. But Hank Aaron was like, yeah, no one wanted me to break Babe Ruth's record. Yeah, that's true. But this isn't a Hank Aaron documentary. If there was a Hank Aaron documentary, I would love to watch that. But this is about Reggie Jackson. And then Reggie starts saying, well, I wish I would have done more with the racism in baseball at the time. And I'm thinking, like, you're Reggie Jackson. Like, if anyone was saying racist names, they're probably from Boston. Like, you were beloved. So then I fast forwarded to when he got to the A's. They're like, yeah, I got to the A's, and the Black Panther Party was huge in California. I'm like, dude, like, is this like a 60s, I was like, I said, I just want the baseball, man. It's like, what about you and Billy Martin? Fast forward to his time in New York, and he's talking about police brutality and shit. I'm just like, I want the baseball. Like, his baseball story is so fascinating.
So interesting, man.
He was like the very first like prima donna in baseball. I'm not saying that as a bad word. I believe there should be more prima donnas in sports. More colorful characters make for more people buying tickets.
Especially in baseball.
It was awful. Like, I was just so disappointed because there's so many stories to tell about Reggie. I mean, him and Steinbrenner bringing him in, him versus Billy Martin, him with those A's with Catfish Hunter. But I couldn't even get through it. I'm like, dude, I understand there was, and there still is, but I'm not watching a movie about the Black Panther Party. I've watched that movie. It's a fantastic movie, but I'm watching a show about Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, it would be like if you turned on, fucking the Boston Strangler movie, and then all they talked about that year was like the Red Sox rotation, I would
like you to try to watch it, because I'd watch 30 minutes, I'd fast forward, and then talk about Black Panther, then I'd fast forward, then talk about so maybe I just hit the wrong spots, but I'm like, where's the baseball in this and the Reggie Jackson? It was awful. Unwatchable.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, that's
too bad because his story's really interesting.
Yes, and I'm sure there is racism involved. He's black, but like, after a while, I was like, dude, you're Reggie Jackson, New York. Like, come on. Like, when you went 3 for 3, after you hit those home runs, like, you could have got anything you fucking wanted. Like, let's be real.
Well, and can't that just be a part of the story, like, with your baseball career? Like, why does that have to be the story?
There was a 20-minute story, literally 20 minutes. I timed it, from Hank Aaron talking about how after he broke Babe Ruth's record, he couldn't go in the restaurant with the rest of his team, which I wanted to check that because I thought that was like in the 70s. Stuff was segregated. I know some things weren't. I don't know. But once again, I'm like, this is not a Hank Aaron documentary. If it was, I'd still watch it because Hank Aaron is just as fascinating as Reggie Jackson or anybody else. But like, why is Hank Aaron in this? Talking about Hank Aaron shit.
Yeah, just don't sell me a false bill of goods,
It made no sense.
That's disappointing. What's it called again? Just because I might give it a
it's
little
called fucking Reggie. Like, Hank Aaron was in it for a while. I mean, if it was a Mark McGwire documentary and Griffey came in, it's like, dude, I love Griffey. One of my favorite players ever, but why is Griffey fucking in this?
But this
like,
is your story. That's too bad. Banner, you got anything else?
Nope. No. Light week.
All right, last one that I'll say, because Matt, I know you and I talked about this a little bit off pod. I watched the 30 for 30 that came out very beginning of this year about the 2000 Baltimore Ravens called Bullies of Baltimore, the Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens. And this, at least it was an interesting framing device. Matt, I think you can appreciate this. One thing I did think was cool and unique about it was it focuses on, it was basically a 20-year reunion of the players on the team coming back to Baltimore to be interviewed and talk about the season. And as they're doing that, like on stage in Baltimore, they're cutting back to the like actual season live. So as far as like the way that they show you the footage, you have the context of like most of the key players 20 years after the fact talking about it. But man, I think you and I can both agree. This is a team that like was one of, I think for me, maybe the best defense I've probably ever seen. I didn't get to watch the Steel Curtain and some of those like earlier NFL defenses, and maybe this is just always going to be the case with great athletes at the pinnacle of their career winning championships. But I can't feel like so much of it is like bravado, and not in the fun way, but it's like Ray Lewis in one scene talks about how instead of watching game film on Steve McNair and the Tennessee Titans before a Sunday playoff game, he was watching footage of Lions, hunting gazelles, because that's what he is. And I remember thinking, well, if that's the case, that's fucking irresponsible to the rest of your teammates. They need you to know when to blitz up the A gap, not how a lion pounces on a gazelle in the Serengeti. And it was just like this team feels this need to like create this persona. Like, I watched you play. You were fucking awesome. You don't need to sit here and act like you watched lions hunt gazelles for me to be impressed by what you did. And for me, and Tony Siragusa, same way. It just kind of overtook the documentary, and maybe I'm too much of an old sports purist where like, dude, show me more like the ins and outs of the actual game and stuff like that. Because between that and Shannon Sharpe being like so overpaid and not effective at tight end and getting like 50% of the screen time, I was just like, this is definitely entertaining, but as someone who lived through the story, like it's really leaving out some key details.
This is ESPN propaganda at its fucking peak for me. You want to think they're a great defense, that's fine. There's a lot of stats to support that, but I mean, Jeff just dropped a name. Go back and see the quarterbacks they played against. That, like, all the great quarterbacks weren't there yet. You know,
it was Kerry Collins in the Super Bowl.
Kerry Collins in the fucking Super Bowl. Kerry Collins. The Raiders paid him a ton of fucking money. He couldn't even throw to Randy Moss. Steve McNair.
It's bad.
You know, some of these guys were, decent. I mean, this was at the tail end of, Aikman was gone. Steve Young was gone. Marino might have been just barely hanging on. I can't remember. I mean, none of these quarterbacks were good. We're about to get – if you think that defense – and I don't even like the Chiefs, but Mahomes would torch that fucking defense.
I think that Steelers team was even post-Slash. I think it was Tommy Maddox, if I remember right. I could be wrong.
Or Cordell Stewart.
Yeah.
Maybe
it was like the end of Neil O'Donnell. I don't know.
So Neil O'Donnell, Cordell Stewart-ish. I mean, Cordell, he's a fine quarterback.
The Browns drafted Tim Couch in 01, so I guess no, the Browns weren't even.
Who the Bengals would have had? That was before
Killed
Dalton.
Smith, maybe.
Yeah. So okay. So you want to call them a great defense? Fine. Greatest defense ever? You're fucking joking yourself. Those 49ers teams that didn't win the Super Bowl a couple years ago are better defense than them. The Bears are probably the best defense ever. So
but again, I didn't get to really watch them. But I think the point of like the documentary is like they were just so loud, like loud personalities, which again are entertaining. Like I'm not going to sit here and act like some of the stuff Shannon Sharpe is saying like on the practice field I don't think is funny, but it also doesn't make you a better football player.
Those Cowboys defenses are better than them with Dion and Charles Haley and all those like. I mean, I don't know, but. It's just ESPN propaganda is best. I mean, they blow Ray Lewis, even though he helped kill the guy. Shannon Sharpe was nothing on that team. I mean, Shannon Sharpe's one of the greatest tight ends ever. Don't get me wrong, but he's in Baltimore. He's way past his prime.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't.
I'm not kidding. They literally only show in a real game one catch of his. That's not sarcasm.
But I'm just thinking. I'm like, so we're doing bullies of Baltimore, and we haven't done anything on the 95 to 97 Cowboys. We haven't done anything on those 49ers teams with Montana. We haven't done anything on like the 70s Raiders when they used to like clothesline people and Tatum fucking paralyze someone. Like, I mean, there's so many other teams to do shit on.
Yeah.
And we're doing the Ravens that won one Super Bowl.
With Trent Dilfer at quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there were certainly some interesting moments. Honestly, to me, one of the most interesting guys in it, just because I didn't know he was as outspoken in the locker room as he was Brian Billick, the head coach. He had some kind of interesting things to say.
He's like an offensive-minded guy.
Yeah. So, I don't know. 30 for 30s, I don't really feel like I've liked the majority of them like the last 5 or 6 years, but maybe they had a really solid run, but they've kind of lost their footing a little bit, I feel like.
His name's gone. That created him.
Oh, really? He is?
Yeah, you know him. I can't remember his fucking name. He's like the big Boston sports fan, and I can't remember his fucking name.
Yeah, he's with the Ringer now, right?
Yeah, he created like all of that for ESPN.
Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense then. All right, is that it?
Yep.
All right, that bird. Do you even lift, brah, bird? Which brings us to the last part of our show, our question and answer segment, where we ask a question that we discuss and leave you guys with. The question today What are each of the bros' top 100 movies of all time? In the description of this podcast episode, below the DCOM Movie Madness bracket, you will find a link that takes you to a Google Sheets where we are counting down our top 100 movies each of all time. Banner, before we get into it, Geiger will lead us off with his number 55 movie of all time, just ahead of A Time to Kill. Why don't we let the people at home know what are these lists? Because they're not based on anything we learned in a film school that we didn't attend or anything that James Lipton taught us. They're a bit different of a top 100 list than people might be familiar with.
Yeah, this is my top 100. This is Hornacek's top 100, Geiger's top 100. There are movies on these lists that have no reason to be even close to a top 100 list. But for some reason, whether it's nostalgia or we're at a certain point in our lives where this had a big influence on our childhood or something, we put these movies in our top 100.
Yeah, they're special to us,
yes,
for sure.
Very, very difficult task to do.
It is, but a fun one. I would recommend do it at home.
Yep.
If you get a chance over like a couple months. All right, Geiger, you're up to your number 55. Just for context, Banner's was Austin Powers in The Spy Who Shagged Me, the second Austin Powers movie. And mine was, I think, a pod favorite film, The Muppet Christmas Carol. So what is your number 55 of all time?
My number 55 is another number, 61.
Wow.
Greatest fucking baseball movies ever. I remember Sports Illustrated had a thing, and it was Mantle and Maris in the outfield, the actors, and it said number 61, and they're like on HBO. At the time, my aunt had HBO, and a couple of guys I was playing fucking select baseball with, I was like, hey, my aunt has HBO. Let's go watch 61 when it premieres. And I saw it, Billy Crystal movie, directing. I'm like, God, it just feels like the 60s when baseball was fucking red hot. It had Jeff, help me. People who played Mantle.
Robert Redford was. Oh wait, who does play Mantle?
The one that played Mantle, Thomas Jane from.
Yes. How did I forget that?
And Barry
That's
Pepper.
back when he wore shoes.
Yep.
Right.
Was Barry Pepper Shoeless Joe in this?
No, he's Roger Maris.
Sorry, isn't he Shoeless Joe then in 8 Men Out? I thought
No.
Barry Pepper played Shoeless Joe in something.
No.
I'll go fuck myself.
Anyway, back to 61. Fantastic movie. I think the only true baseball movie other than Major League, Bull Durham does, but in the minor leagues, that just follows the day in, day out, just bullshit that they're dealing with, watching TV, drinking at a bar, going to the game, game before, taking BP and everything. Phenomenally acted, phenomenally directed. I don't know how they did like Yankee Stadium back in the 60s, but it was amazing movie. I'll still watch it about, I hate to be Banner, but maybe once a year. Don't fucking test me on it, but probably once a year I'll fucking pull this out and watch it. One of the greatest baseball movies ever. One of the scenes is opening day, so with opening day, happening, might as well go back and watch it. It's still on HBO Max today. Before I cancel all my subscriptions, so I was in dad mode trying to save money. I definitely watched 61 a couple times on HBO Max.
I mean, the score, Banner will appreciate it. Beyond iconic.
Yeah.
It's absolutely famous. All right, Geiger, your number 54, just for context, Banner's was Guardians of the Galaxy, the original, and then mine was the Hugh Jackman HBO film Bad Education. What's your number 54?
It's weird ranking this so low to me because I feel like it's probably one of the greatest comedies ever with the greatest ending, but it is what it is, and that's Dumb and Dumber. I have other comedies that are ranked higher just simply because they maybe relate to me more on a personal level that we'll get to later on in my list. But when they leave the fucking hot bikini models at the end, and you're just like, I want them to just go nuts. But if you don't, I understand it. It's kind of funny. But you leave the theater almost feeling like empty and like depressed.
So I think Cycly brought this up on one of our pods, but the original script had them getting on the bus. And Jim Carrey told the Farrelly brothers, he's like, look, I get that, but like, there's no way that our two characters would pick up on this and get on the bus with
You're
this.
in luck. And I'm like,
The town is that way.
the great
We
thing
just-
though is that Jim Carrey's like, do you realize what you've done? I'm like, okay, he's gonna do it. He's like, the town is the other way. I'm like,
And then-
oh my god,
We'll catch our
so
break.
great.
Got to keep our eyes open.
And then they do the "You're It," and then the credits just roll, and you're just like, damn it, man! Like this is great, but I don't know if there's a fucking minute in that movie where you're not laughing or anticipating something or just having fun.
And it's great because, yes, it's outlandish, but it's also so subtle at the same time. Like, no movies nowadays, comedies, have enough confidence in the jokes and the performers that they have to not have to, like, beat you over the head with the ridiculous humor. This movie, it's just so, like, gently embedded in the world and in the characters that it's not like a scary movie where it's like, all right, dude, we get it. This character's an idiot. It's just, like, happening, and it feels organic in a weird way, and it just works.
And I Banner might be taking a piss right now, but the score in this and the soundtrack is so 90s. Just a bunch of bands that don't have any fucking good songs but one. And I was watching Clueless before I got on pod, and there's some movies that the 80s are all about. It's like, man, this was the 80s. You didn't understand because you weren't in the 80s. Like our parents tell us that. And the 90s have those movies too.
Yeah.
This was one, and Dumb and Dumber is definitely like, this is the fucking 90s right here. Like, you can't recapture it. You can't do it anymore. It was time that will never be duplicated again. And this is a comedy that basically defined the 90s and just catapulted Jim Carrey into, I don't think anyone's hit this status besides Will Ferrell in like the mid to early aughts.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, you are the number one comedy person. Whatever you do turns to fucking gold.
Yeah, this is one I haven't double checked right now, but I would imagine this is one of those movies that we talked about that's on everyone's list. All five of the bros. Banner, is this on yours?
It is not in my top 100. It is just outside. Yes, it's at 107.
All right, that's really close.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Guy, you're right. The score is great in it. You're hit the nail on the head. It encapsulates what 90s comedy was. 100%.
Very much so.
It's PG-13, if I'm not mistaken, and that's another thing about 90s comedies. A lot of them are PG-13, and they're more funny than the R-rated comedies.
They're true comedy. They're not just like raunchy.
Yeah, they didn't have to rely on like. And
comedy,
I'm not.
But I mean, Dumb and Dumber is funnier than any R-rated comedy I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm not against like crude humor. I'm not one of those guys, but it's like
You can make a funnier movie with restrictions like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Good shit, man. That's definitely coming up on my list. All right, we'll do our number 53s, and then we'll be good for the night. Banner, what is yours just ahead of Guardians of the Galaxy?
Speaking of rated R comedies, Deadpool. Geiger, this was your, what?
57.
56, 57?
Yeah, I hate that. I'll put it in my top 100.
Yeah. At the time, it was great. They proved that they can do a R-rated comic book movie in the comic book movie era, which was great. Also, Deadpool is just such a different character than what we see in any other ones. And what the movie went through to just get made is impressive, and just a great movie. Like you said, sucks now, but it was a great movie.
Well, I think we have to think about it, like you said, in a vacuum. When it came out, what did it do? None of this had been, old hat to us, and it really was a game changer. And one in the theater where you were just like, oh, thank God this came around, because superhero movies were like starting, I don't want to say get stale, but like people were starting to pick up on the formula. And Deadpool not only turns that on its head, but it actively makes fun of the formula. Think about how ridiculous it is.
In the most Deadpool way. I mean, that's what Deadpool is in the comics as well.
Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall, talking directly to you.
It's got some great gags in it. Again, it's just tough now because Ryan Reynolds is like so in our face, but at the time it was very fresh and fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, this was at the beginning of the Ryan Reynolds-ness.
The Renaissance.
Yeah.
Wow, it's actually a real thing. All right, my number 53 movie, just ahead of Bad Education, is the Dan Trachtenberg directed, who did that movie Prey that came out last year. It's a sequel-ish, although Cycly, Banner, and I could probably do a whole pod on what this quote-unquote universe actually is. But it is 2016's 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Mm.
The original Cloverfield is coming up on my list. Let me just say that. That's how much I love these movies. And this movie features John Goodman in the performance of his lifetime.
My God, I agree.
I did not know he had this into him. This is the guy from Roseanne and Sully from Monsters, Inc. Are you fucking kidding me?
He's a phenomenal actor, though.
Oh, my God, yeah. And
I had no idea until I saw that movie.
I mean, I knew Big Lebowski, he like kind of, was on another level, but this is like just unreal. I won't spoil anything in 10 Cloverfield Lane because the ride is an incredible one. But essentially the plot is it appears like a chemical attack has happened on this rural town in, I believe it's Texas. And a woman played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead is on a road trip. Not a road trip. She's like leaving her boyfriend, and she gets in the car and drives away. They got in a fight. And then this chemical attack happens as she's in the car, and she is forced to pull over and seek shelter in a bunker at a house of a man that she doesn't know at all. And inside of this house, it's John Goodman, who welcomes her in, and then another character, John Gallagher Jr., who is his neighbor, who's sought shelter here as well. And as the movie unfolds, you start to question everything. Like, is this really a chemical attack? Is the guy at the house telling the truth about anything? Has she somehow been lured here? You think a million different things. And as the movie goes on, the plot just thickens. And it's incredibly well acted. It's a psychological thriller that's going to make you question everything. And again, John Goodman, as he plays a character named Howard. I mean, Jesus. Did not know he could pull something like this off. So it's super creepy, super well acted, and just a really, really good script. So, again, Cloverfield Universe, I don't think it's like a sequel, but they're spiritually very connected.
They're like all cousin movies.
Yeah. It's a good way to describe it. All right, that's all I got. You guys, sorry. Geiger, your number 53 movie. Just ahead of Dumb and Dumber.
I don't know how I'm gonna defend this. I should probably flip them. Maybe I could, but my number 53 movie is Ted. I guess I put before Dumb and Dumber.
Dude, you love you some Ted though.
But creatively and shit, dude, Ted, like, I mean, the premise of it's hilarious, but then making Ted how he's a talking teddy bear, once again, Jurassic World style, but no one cares because they've seen it, is fucking hilarious. Yeah. And then just him getting jobs, and the acting in this is phenomenal, obviously, because you have Wahlberg and then you have the fucking kid from Boiler Room and, whatever else. His name. He's like a fucking Oscar-winning actor. You have Mila Kunis. I love Ted. And once again, this is R-rated, raunchy. It does not hold back with Seth MacFarlane. And this is when Seth MacFarlane could do no wrong. Right in his prime. I mean, they made, too many of them, but the original Ted is, I remember seeing it in theaters. I'm just like, my God, this is just greatness.
Everything at the grocery store is fucking hilarious.
And when he starts dating the chick, because like, he's basically an actor. That's like how they were like, did the bear and shit. And he just like is kind of losing it, and just them smoking pot. And he works for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and his boss is hilarious with the whole Top Gun reference and everything. Like, there's so many subtle, like almost Will Ferrell-esque shit going on. And I love Seth MacFarlane. I've loved Family Guy forever, and him having a movie like this, it was great because he's had some misses for sure for movies.
Yeah, this one. This was number 92 on my list. Matt, I know you always love the quote when he's watching the Cheers DVD box set where Ted Danson goes, Woody Harrelson, smallest dick I've ever seen on a man.
Like, and they got Ted Danson to come in to do like a Cheers fucking documentary. It's hilarious. It's so good, dude.
Was there cocaine on the set of Cheers? Yeah.
There are nude dicks and gay porn? Yeah, there's cocaine on the set of Cheers.
I got the DVD box set, and the actors all talk shit about each other. It's great.
Like, John's trying to be responsible. Like, I can't come over. And then Ted says that. He's like, God, that sounds amazing. I'll be over in 10 minutes.
Yeah, he like immediately ditches all of his responsibilities.
He gets that shitty apartment, and he's just like, well, next door neighbors are Chinese, and they don't have a gong or anything. And Wahlberg's like, that's lucky.
Oh, well, that's lucky.
It's a great movie, dude. I thoroughly enjoy it. One that you can't watch on TV. It just takes too much out of it. You got the guy from The Soup, too, who is red hot, who plays Mila. This is hilarious, isn't it?
God, we dove the shit out of that pool. He's looking at like his high school diving team photo. Ted is great, man. Now I feel like 92 on my list is actually pretty low because I love that movie.
I don't know if it should be above Dumb and Dumber now that I made this list, but it is kind of a Christmas movie because he gets Ted at Christmas. So
yeah, the beauty of this list, like just showing how different our movie tastes are, even among ourselves. I have Ted at 92, and then at 91 is X2 X-Men United.
It's a great film that Banner literally will pound the table about. I get the other reason I knew that I put down Ted is because for Christmas my I'd always ask for DVDs like in middle school and high school, and Christmas Eve I'd always get open one gift, and it was always usually a movie. And one year it was Step Brothers, one year it was Ted, and like my mom would always watch the movie with me, and she'd never seen any of these. I remember Ted, she was snorting so hard, be like, "Oh my God, this is awful," but it's like so hilarious. And my dad would watch it too. He's like, "This is fucking hilarious." And that's why I guess because I remember opening up that DVD. I'm like, "Oh, Ted." I'm like, "Let's watch it." I was like, I think maybe a freshman in high school or something. So we watched it Christmas night, and I remember my parents just like dying out laughing. They're like, "My God, this is phenomenal. Good shit."
Yeah. Seth MacFarlane in his prime was a sight to behold.
Fucking Amanda Bynes too at the time.
She's in it?
No, he was really fucking her in real life.
Oh, nice. He dated Emilia Clarke also. He's got quite the stable. All right, Banner, any closing thoughts for our fans for episode 203?
Yeah, I want to say thank you. And you can attest to this, Jeff. People pulled over for emergency vehicles again this week.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the phone with you, and we had a fire truck come, and again, like the Red Sea, very proud of you guys. I don't know what I can preach anymore. The people listened finally.
They saw probably your example of pulling over, and they were like, "Well, I gotta fucking do that too if this guy is."
Yeah, maybe
it works. Geiger, how about you?
Pure pressure.
Yeah, just remember to just do it.
There's someone out there who's like, "That's the push I needed." Now they're gonna divorce their wife. And
I heard that Air is this generation's Jerry Maguire, which makes sense because everything this generation does fucking sucks. So,
are you and I just gonna hate watch that movie?
I'm gonna have to watch it because the premise, if you pitch that to me, like, that sounds awesome. But watching the trailer just makes me want to punch Matt Damon so much, and Affleck is getting really cold with me too. That I'm like, I don't know if I can watch this because it's just them being like, "Oh, remember us from Good Will Hunting? Like we're so awesome, and we did this fucking movie." And I don't know if I can watch it.
And the premise of it, like, oh wow, you want to have Michael Jordan sponsor your shoe? Like he's a nobody. Like he's the National College Player of the Year, just won the national championship on a buzzer beater. He's going to be the number 2 pick in the draft. What are you fucking talking about? Everyone knows who he is. But whatever. All right, all that I'll leave you guys with is please make smart decisions when getting your haircut. I think I'm going to get my own haircut on Saturday. So let's stay away from the dyes and like any, let's not get a number of the razor lower than you're used to. Let's just everyone fucking relax. Okay? Especially with the summer coming up. Like, you don't want to make any stupid decisions when you're going to be out and about. People are going to be seeing you.
And you can't hide that shit under a hat anymore.
No, people are going to know. Like, take that beanie off, dickhead. You're at the swimming pool.
Or a Jet Jackson stocking cap that looks like a Predator.
Actually, that you can probably...
Yeah, you could probably leave that on, though.
They'd be like, I know it's not weather appropriate, but fuck, it's cool. All right, for Mad Scientist Brian Banner, and our enforcer in the paint, Matt Geiger. I'm the mayor, Jeff Hornacek, and we are the Bro4 Squad podcast. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Follow us on Twitter at Bro4 Squad. We are on Letterboxd at the same handle. Type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words on Letterboxd, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, anywhere you find your podcasts, you'll find us. And on our website, bro4squad.com, you can find the Disney Channel original movie Madness Tournament, as well as our top 100 list of all time and everything we've ever posted. Till next time, Matt and I need to go read about this guy. What's his name? Nolan Ryan? Never heard of him. Nike should sign him.